All right, this is the screencast for RtI for 8.7b, which is moon phases and eclipses. And also I'll give you a little bit on tides to kind of wrap it up. All right, the first part of the sheet with the questions is just for you to do at the end. So let's look at eclipses. We talked about two types of eclipses, solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. Let's talk about solar eclipses first. The moon phase during a solar eclipse is new moon, meaning the moon is in between the sun and the earth. Solar eclipses occur during the day. What happens? The moon casts its shadow on the earth. In other words, the moon blocks out the sun. Okay, that's what a solar eclipse is. Lunar eclipses. Moon phase is full moon. Okay, during a lunar eclipse, the earth is directly between the moon and the sun. Lunar eclipses occur at night. And here's what happens. The moon moves through the earth's shadow. In other words, the earth casts its shadow on the moon. All right, so those are your eclipses. Let me get you started on how to fill out the next sheet. All right, so on the left-hand column, you're going to fill in the lunar phases. If the moon is in between the earth and the sun, then obviously the lunar phase here is new moon. You would need to color in the entire circle because the side of the the side of the moon that is facing the earth is not illuminated. Okay, so the side that we can see is dark, and actually it's really kind of hard to see. All right, after new moon comes waxing crescent. So waxing crescent, and just to prove that you're listening, write in here waxing crescent moons last about a week. So waxing crescent lasts about a week. This might be what you would see maybe a night or so after new moon. But remember, waxing crescent lasts like a whole week. So draw me another waxing crescent that's a little bit fatter crescent than this one. And draw me another one that's a little bit fatter than that. But make sure that your crescent still looks like it's less than 50% illuminated. It's got to look like a crescent. Okay? So it goes new moon, waxing crescent for about a week. Then we get to first quarter. First quarter means that we've gone 1/4 of the way through, or the moon has gone 1/4 of the way through its revolution around Earth. And at first quarter, you have to split right down the middle. Okay, so it's half and half. The right-hand side is illuminated because it's waxing crescent, and the left-hand side is dark. And remember, by the way, on your waxing crescent moons, the lit crescent portion has to be on the right-hand side because it's waxing. Okay. After first quarter, we're now looking at moons that are more than 50% illuminated, and it's growing each night. So this is going to be waxing gibbous. Again, put waxing gibbous moons last about a week. So I gave you kind of a middle, maybe a waxing crescent, a waxing gibbous moon in the middle of the waxing gibbous moon phase would look like. Give me one that's a little bit less fat, and give me one that's a little bit fatter than the one I gave you. After about a week of waxing gibbous moons, you're going to get to full moon. And full moon, the entire illuminated part of the moon faces Earth, so you're not going to color this in at all. After full moon comes waning. So this one at first is waning gibbous, and again, write waning gibbous lasts about a week. Here's what a waning gibbous might look like a couple days after full. Give me a waning gibbous that's a little bit smaller than that, and a waning gibbous that's a little bit smaller than that. But please make sure that all of your gibbous moons have more than 50% illuminated. And remember that it's the left side that's supposed to be illuminated this time because we're waning. Waning, it's lit on the left. Waxing, it's lit on the right. All right. After about a week of waning gibbous moons, we're now 3/4 of the way through our lunar cycle, so we are at third quarter, or you could say last quarter. You're going to split this half and half, okay? This time, it is the right-hand side that's colored in, and it's the left-hand side that's illuminated. Remember, last quarter moons are lit on the left, okay? After last quarter, we're still waning, so this is going to be waning crescent. I gave you what, like waning crescent might look like just a night or two before new moon. So give me a little bit thicker waning crescent and give me a little bit thicker than that waning crescent. But again, it's got to be a crescent, so it's got to be less than 50% illuminated. Okay? All right, so that should help you kind of familiarize yourself with your lunar phases and what they look like and how long each phase lasts. New moon and first quarter and full and last quarter, those are just one designated day. The other ones like waxing crescent and waxing gibbous, waning gibbous and waning crescent, those all last about a week. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you just a few notes for tides, and you need to write it on the back of this sheet of paper. Okay, so flip this over, okay, and you're going to write these notes for me. Let's see. All right. So just move or pause as you need to. It says spring equals straight. Spring tides occur when the sun, moon, and earth are in a straight line. So that would be at new moon and full moon. Okay. At new moon, you have the sun with the moon in the middle and then the earth. At full moon, you have the sun with the earth in the middle and then the moon. Okay? Remember that spring tides means you have a large tidal range. There is a big difference between your high tide reading and your low tide reading. Okay? By the way, this is just for me. Y'all don't need to write that down. Okay. Remember that tidal range, it's just like range in math. It's the biggest number minus smallest number. So tidal range is your high tide measurement minus your low tide measurement. Okay? Then we have neap tides. Neap tides occur when the sun, earth, and moon are at 90 degrees to each other. So that occurs during first quarter moons and last quarter moons. First quarter moons, last quarter moons. The thing that you really need to see is that they're all at a 90-degree angle. Neap tides give you very small tidal ranges, so there's not a whole lot of difference between your high tide level and your low tide level. Okay? All of the other tidal ranges for all the rest of the days in the lunar cycle, they don't have a special name. So there's like 29 and a half days in a lunar cycle, and only 4 of those days are going to be spring or neap tides. The rest of them, it's like neither one. Okay? So just write that down. And then see me for further directions.